it's Alicia Kay, and today I'm doing something that I don't do very often, which is a TBR. TBR, I barely know her. I honestly don't remember the last time I actually made a TBR, so here we are. It's happening because October, I really wanted to plan what I was reading. This is like the only month that has happened in a long time. Like, I did not do this last fall, but coming into this October, I was like, I need to plan. I started thinking about this in like June because I picked up a book and I was like, oh, I have to save this for October. And then I was like, maybe I should make an October TBR, even though I don't normally make TBRs. So the first book on my list is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I'm actually currently reading this book, and I don't think I'll finish it before the end of September. So this is on here because I just want to finish this in October. This is like very much a fall read, and this is one of my favorite books of all time, maybe my favorite book of all time. And I decided to reread it because I'm working on a song about the Night Circus, but then also for the fall vibes. This book follows a circus that only shows up at night, and there's a competition element, and this book is like amazing, and I know like everyone loves it, and I'm no exception to that rule. I love this book. The next book on this list, and actually the couple books after this as well, are rereads. So the next one is A Sudden Light by Garth Stein. This is a book I read in like summer of 2017, and I only remember that because of like the other stuff that was happening that summer at the same time that I was reading this book. But I read this book. It's been a while. I remember really enjoying it. And I remember it having a fall feeling. But I'm not actually sure if it does or not. But I remember it feeling like fall. So this book takes place in Washington. It's either Washington or Oregon, but I'm pretty sure it's Washington, as this son who has been away from his family's like estate. They had this giant logging home and like company that has kind of gone under, and they're not like a logging family anymore, but they still have all the property. And the son returns after being away for an extended period of time and actually brings his son, and it's his son's first time being there, I think, if I remember correctly. And it's a story about family and like being surrounded by trees, and just like the stuff I remember about this book makes me think of fall. Now, I haven't read it in a long time, so I could be misremembering, but I'm gonna reread it, and hopefully it is that fall feeling that I think it is. The next book I want to reread is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This book actually has been on my reread list for a while for two reasons. One, I read this in the fall, I think in 2019, and found it very appropriate for the season, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then two, after I talked about this with some people on my BookTube channel that I like no longer post to, there was like some controversy that some of the people talked about, and they were like, oh yeah, I heard this book had X, Y, or Z thing in it. And I was like, oh, I really don't remember that. And so I kind of want to go back and reread it. I honestly don't even remember what it was, but we were talking about like a controversy that like not many people have talked about. Like, I haven't heard a whole lot about it, but I kind of want to go back and reread it to see if I just missed it the first time and there is something like problematic with this book, which maybe isn't a good reason to want to reread a book, but I love this book so much. I thought it was so good. And the way that the like potential problematic elements was presented was like so secondhand that I feel like I need to go check for myself, because it wasn't from someone who'd read the book. It was like from someone who heard from someone else that they interpreted this thing one way. So I wanted to go see if I felt the same way, and then if so, like move from there, right? But this book basically follows a man who's like at this house party, like this giant house, and there's like a bunch of people there, and every night at midnight Evelyn Hardcastle dies, and it's like Groundhog's Day, where he wakes up every day and it's reliving the same day, and he's trying to figure out who kills this woman, Evelyn Hardcastle. If the last footage was a little bit shaky, it is because my phone is on a tripod on a table, and my cat is in his bed that is also on that same table, and he decided to make biscuits. And I think it was making the camera shake a little bit, but I'm not going to go back and re-record because I don't know exactly when it started. We're just going to move on. And if you made it through, congratulations. Welcome to this part of the video. So the last book that's on my TBR that I have physically is Pumpkinheads by Rowell. This is, again, another reread for me. I read this maybe the same year I read The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle in 2019, maybe the year before, maybe even in 2017. I don't remember exactly, but I thought it was really cute, and I got it from the library at that point in time. And then this year, I knew this was one of the books I wanted to have on my October TBR, and I really wanted to reread it. So I bought myself a copy, and yeah, that's what this is. So this is about two high school seniors, and they have worked at the same pumpkin patch together for the past few years. And it is their last night working the pumpkin patch together before they both go off to college. It's really cute. It's a little graphic novel, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm happy to have it as part of my collection now that I can read maybe every year. It might be just one of those books I pull out every year. Now we are going to get into the books that I don't have physically, and we'll see if I can give you good synopses of these books. Because honestly, some of them I don't even really know because they've been on my list for a long time. And then I was like, yeah, now feels like the time to read them. Whatever. Most of these I have on hold from the library, and let's just get into it. It's a lot of books. I'm probably not going to be able to read all of these, and I'm trying to make my peace with that now. There's going to be books I don't finish. That's okay. This is just like the stretch goal / the priority books for October, like the list I want to pick from for my reading. So the first book is actually a book that I have checked out right now. I started it a little bit before October starts, since we are like really close to October starting, and I knew this list was really long. I was like, I'll just start it a little early. I have no delusions of finishing this book before October starts. This is definitely going to take me into the first little bit of October. And that is Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This book is about a woman whose father was executed during a government overthrow in Mexico that completely changed her life. And she had to then, after her father was executed, go live with family that did not treat her well. And as she's in this situation, she wants to escape. So she marries this wealthy businessman and escapes to his hacienda where they grow agave for tequila. The issue is maybe this place isn't as much of an escape as she thinks it is. This book has been described as Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca. I have not read Rebecca, but I loved Mexican Gothic, and I'm only a little bit like 30 pages into this book. Basically, what I said in the synopsis is what I've gotten so far in this book. I am excited though, because I do think this is like haunted house-y. Like there is secrets in the house. There's maybe like haunted house vibes. Not 100% sure. Like I said, this is just what I'm guessing at 30 pages in, and I'm excited to see where it goes. The next book on my list is The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. This book is about a young man who can see ghosts, which is a power he doesn't always love, but he always tries to help the ghost move on into the next life. And then one day he ends up being haunted by a ghost of a man who shot 6 high school kids and then killed himself. And this ghost is very vengeful and has plans for Jake Livingston. This is a book that has been on my list for a while, so I decided now is the time. Haunting feels perfect for spooky season. So I'm excited for this one as well. I've heard a lot of good things about it. The next book is The Enchanted Hacienda by J.C. Cervantes. This is another book about a woman who tries to escape by going to an hacienda. This one is where they grow charmed flowers that can heal things, and the protagonist's life gets turned upside down when she's asked to help with some of the family magic, and she has to confront the fact that she doesn't actually have magic. This is a witchy, magical book that I think is just gonna be perfect for this witchy, magical time. The next book on this list is Goblin by Josh Mallerman. This is a short story collection, and all of these short stories have to do with this like creepy small town. That's honestly all I really know about it. I don't want to read too much more because I don't want to get synopses of the short stories since they're short stories. I don't always love knowing more than a very vague synopsis since sometimes they can give things away with short stories. Oftentimes I feel like they go into just a little bit too much detail for my tastes. So I'm going to go in just knowing that. I've heard a lot about Josh Mallerman, but I've never actually read a Josh Mallerman book. This will be my first one. I do think the cover art is very intriguing though. The next book I want to read in October is Mooncakes by Wendy Xu and Suzanne Walker. This is a book that I've honestly been tracking down and trying to find for years and had such a hard time getting my hands on. Even I looked for secondhand copies and even searched at some new stores and couldn't find it. And then I was trying to find it from the library. I'm trying not to spend too much money on books right now. And my library didn't have it. But what they did have on the Libby app was it was we don't have this, but we're thinking about getting it. So we'll notify you when we get it. And they just got it. They got it just a couple weeks ago. I went on the waiting list immediately. And also, so did apparently everyone else. The waiting list isn't super long, but this is one that I'm a little bit nervous that I might not quite get before the end of October, but it is a graphic novel. So even if I get it on the last day of October, I'll be able to read it really, really quickly. But I could just tell that a couple other people, at least a few other people have been waiting for it as well. And everyone kind of jumped on it when they got that notification. This is about a werewolf and a witch that I think went to high school together and they have to team up, face the feelings they have for each other. I'm not sure if they're good feelings or bad feelings. And fight the forces that are trying to take away the magic. The next book on this list is Paybacks, a Witch by Lana Harper. This is the book that I started in June or July, and I got 2 chapters in and I was like, I can't read this. It's making me think too much about fall, and fall is already I think my favorite season, and I used to really hate summer because I don't do well in the heat very often. And I sunburn really easily. So sometimes I have a hard time with summer, especially living in a place that is very hot and sunny. Just living life and accepting summer as it is. This is something I've worked really hard on. This is a tangent, but I've worked so hard on becoming a person who doesn't actively hate summer. So when I'm in summer, I try to appreciate summer for what it is. And part of that for me was I can't listen to a book that's going to remind me too much of fall, or else it's going to make me leave this summer appreciation season. This is something I've been trying to do more with all of the seasons, but I think summer is maybe the hardest. I mean, in some ways it's the hardest, in some ways it's the easiest because I love not being in school over the summer. But I think I prefer the weather of all other seasons. I do like some of the activities in summer more, like camping and hiking, which I know you can do in the fall and winter and spring and whatever, but summer's normally the peak season for those. Anyway, when I'm in a certain season, I try to really stick with that season and appreciate that season, which is why, it's only now at the end of September that I'm really starting to transition into fall feelings, fall vibes, fall reads, fall decor, all of those sorts of things. Because I was really trying to appreciate summer while we were in summer. The whole point of that was to say, I did not read this book over the summer. I want to read it over the fall. This is another one. This is the other one that I have been keeping my eye on some of these books that I knew I wanted to have on this TBR for months. And this is one of the other ones that there was like one day where there was no one on the waiting list. And I was like, okay. Like, it was like, I was tracking them and it was like, no one's waiting. And I'm like, okay, it's not quite close enough for me to put my hold on it or like to check it out because I only have 21 days. And 21 days from now, this happened like a little bit ago. So I was like, 21 days from now, it was only like 5 days into October, which doesn't give me a whole lot of time to read the book. And I'm not sure if I'll have it finished in that time. You know, I just don't know what my schedule is going to look like. So I need to wait. So I waited, and I don't know if I checked it the next day or the day after. And there was a waiting list. And now I might not get it in October. I'm currently on the waiting list, 6 weeks out. I have a couple different library cards because where I live and have lived in the past couple years, I've been able to get one for 2 different cities that are around me and then also the county that both of those cities are in. So I have a couple different library cards, so I keep like checking the other, but I think one of them doesn't have it, so I like keep checking to see which one's, you know, shorter. But right now it says I'll get it in 6 weeks, which is not in October. So I'm really hoping this one comes through because this was like the one that started it all. I need to read this one. And if not, I might just buy it. I just said I'm trying not to spend money on books, but I have 2 unused Libro FM credits. Also, if you want to check out Libro FM, I have a link. I put a link down in my description for my Libro FM referral every time. And this is not like an affiliate thing. This is just like something that everyone has. And basically, if you want to check it out, even if you don't use mine, but I would say if you want to check it out, find someone's referral code because it doesn't cost you anything extra. It might actually give you a kick, so like some sort of kickback if you use someone else's. But the person whose referral code you use gets a free book and it doesn't change anything for you. So just a PSA, if you're going to check out Libro FM, like I said, it doesn't have to be mine. Mine is there if you want to use it. But just find like someone's. Because I think that's a fun way to spread love. Take advantage of the system a little bit. But anyway, I have 2 unused Libro FM referral codes. So if this does not happen, maybe I'll just buy it on Libro FM. I'm kind of like holding those. I'm saving them. Because I don't have an active Libro FM subscription right now. And I don't want to spend them on the wrong book. And I know that doesn't make sense, but I'm just kind of holding on to them. And I kind of want to hold on to them until I reactivate my Libro FM subscription, which probably won't happen until I graduate. And after that side tangent, I'll actually tell you what this book is about. It is about a woman who doesn't really want to go back to her town, but she has to like help run this. I think it's like a competition that happens in this town of magic users every year. And there's different families and they all have different power levels. She has to go back and help with it. She just really doesn't want to because no one in the town really likes her. And then I think she ends up teaming up with someone in high school that she didn't really get along with. I really enjoyed the first like 2 chapters of this book, so I'm really excited to start listening to it again and really dive into the story at the appropriate season. The last book that is officially on my October TBR is Fangs and Frenemies by Sierra Cross. I don't know what this book is about. I don't read on my Kindle very often. I don't love supporting Amazon in that way. But when Stuff Your Kindle Day happened, I did download 2 books, and this was one of them. Honestly, my friend told me about it in class, and I was sitting in this class like a little bored. This class is so important, and it's so important for a project I'm working on, but still I'm like always doing something else in that class. So when Stuff Your Kindle Day was happening, I was looking at Kindle books. I saw this and I was like, this would be perfect for this season. It is free 99. So I downloaded it. I spent $0 on it. And I didn't look what it was about because I spent $0 on it. And then if I don't like it, I don't really care. So I did say that was the last book officially on my TBR because there are other books I have requested from the library that may or may not come during October. So there are 2 other books I have on hold at my library right now. And one of them I really don't think I will get in October, but it just kind of depends on how fast the people in front of me read it. And I will not say that it's not a possibility. Like I said, I really don't think so, but I'm only 3rd on the waiting list. It does have the waiting list at 8 weeks right now, but I'm only 3rd on the list. So it kind of just depends on how quickly people read those books. That one specifically is Murder and Mamon by Mia P. Manansala. And the other book is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This is a book that I found through browsing through my library and thought it sounded interesting. And so I put it on my waiting list, and it is a 4-week wait right now. So if I get it exactly in 4 weeks, it'll be towards the end of October. Maybe I'll get it before then. Like I said, with Murder and Mamon, it really depends on how quickly people read the books. But Local Woman Missing, I think, is much more likely I get in October. But Murder and Mamon, it's an 8-week wait right now. But I always recognize that that is a complete estimate that is based upon everyone keeping it their full length. So if I'm 3rd on the waiting list for that book, if the 2 people read it in half the time, that cuts the time down and I could be getting it in October. But also maybe not. Who knows? Probably not. And honestly, I don't want it in October. I'm hoping the 8-week timeline works out. If you want another tangent, here's one final tangent for this video about the wait time on Libby. I understand how they do it, and they do it how they have to do it. But one thing, and everyone talks about this, right? This is the joke, is as soon as one of your books becomes available, then they all do. And so you're trying to plan, at least I try to plan, right? I was also trying to space these, so I wasn't getting all of these books at the beginning of October. I was like, okay, I'll get these ones maybe in the first week of October, and then these ones the 3rd week of October, or the 2nd week, space it out, because I wanted some that was this is a 2-week wait, this is a 4-week wait, whatever. And then just because life is what it is and people read how they read, and honestly, I don't think most people actually keep their holds the full length of time. In talking to my friends and other people who use Libby and whatever, people return it as soon as they finish the book most of the time. So unless someone didn't finish the book, they don't keep it the full time. So the wait lists I have found not always the most accurate, which is fine. It doesn't necessarily bother me, but it does mess up my planning a little bit. I know that's very silly, but that's just something I think about. I know this 8-week wait time for Murder and Mamon probably is not accurate. 6 weeks for Paybacks a Witch, probably not accurate. But we'll see. Maybe everyone will keep it for the full length of time. Who knows? That is the list of books that I'm going to be picking from to read in October. I will say all of the books from the library are going to be my priority over the books I have physically. So if I don't read any of the books, it's probably going to be The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle and A Sudden Light by Garth Stein. I did try to mostly focus on getting audiobooks because I can read audiobooks a lot faster. And then the other thing I will say about this ambitious list of books is my reading has picked up way more than I expected it to. And you will see that in my September wrap up, I think, a little bit. And it's not like I've read an astronomical amount of books. It's just that over the summer months, I was reading 3 or 4 books a month. And I think in September, I at least doubled that, maybe tripled, depending on the month. So by focusing on audiobooks, that means I can listen to them During my commute time, I have an hour commute to school and then an hour back. So that's like 2 hours a day right there that I could be listening to books. And I don't always, but a lot of times I do. And then also sometimes I listen to books while I do my homework. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I just get bored while I'm doing my homework. Sometimes I have a homework that's a lot of busy work. And so I just turn on my audiobook as like a reward. Honestly, I use it as a reward. It's the carrot that dangles to get me to do my homework sometimes. So that I think is why I feel a little bit better about making this long list. And then also I'm not going to get down on myself or feel sad if I don't read all of these books. Like, this is so many books. This is just potential. It's options. It's like pointing me in the direction of where I want to go to have a good October reading month. That being said, I don't know if I'm planning to read a whole lot in my downtime. Like, I try to read every night before I go to bed, my physical book. But like other downtime, I have a project that I'm trying to work on that if I'm going to get it done and released when I want to release it, because it's a Christmas song, I have to do the whole thing in October. And I kind of decided this last minute. So I have to get this done if I want to get it done and out and not have to wait till next year. And that's going to take up most of my free time. So we'll see how it goes. And with that, it is time to say goodbye. I've enjoyed spending time with you. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you are going to read in October down in the comments. Like this video if you want to, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!